Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take concepts that resonate at a higher frequency, the kind of knowledge that gives you that genuine aha moment, and pull them down to earth so we can see how they apply to the human experience. Today, we are immersing ourselves in a source text focused on a powerful celestial guide, or presence, known as Anarel'thara. If you, the listener, are someone who finds yourself searching for guidance that feels less like a rulebook and more like an inner compass, this exploration is specifically for you. We're calling this deep dive Anarel'thara, Guardian of the Blue Light and Divine Stillness. And with me, ready to map these celestial territories, is our expert guide.
Thank you. It really is a privilege to sit with this specific body of source material. It holds a very distinct resonance, you know. The energy of Anarel'thara is just immediate. It speaks to the soul that's seeking quiet depth, not external drama or noise. So our mission today is pretty precise. We want to try and translate the high-frequency language of this source material into, well, actionable understanding. We're aiming to uncover what it truly means to connect with this guardian, and maybe even more profoundly, what it means for you to embody the divine stillness she represents.
Embody it. That's key.
Exactly. Think of this whole discussion as an invitation to deep internal remembrance.
Okay, let's unpack this title then. Our sources call her a guardian, right? But, you know, in most traditions, a guardian is, well, an active protector, maybe an interventionist. You're someone with specific tasks, often quite defensive ones.
Yeah, that's the common picture.
So if Anarel'thara is a guardian, how is she fundamentally different from those traditional figures we might already have in our spiritual framework? What makes her guardianship unique?
That is absolutely the right place to start because her guardianship operates on a completely different plane. It's
Right.
vibrational. She really defies that traditional interventionist mold. So the first core difference is her method of communication. The sources emphasize resonance over speech. She's not a speaker of human language. She doesn't use commands or, directives like do this, don't do that.
No instructions.
Not in words. Her presence resonates with pure frequencies that kind of ripple directly through the soul. The sources describe her voice not as sound waves, but as, get this, the deep, meaningful silence. Like the hush just before dawn.
Wow. That's poetic.
It is, isn't it? And this silence, it isn't just the absence of noise. It's the fullness of potential, of profound insight. It speaks directly to your subconscious, bypassing the analytical mind entirely.
That immediately suggests a level of trust is required, doesn't it? Because you can't really argue with silence or question it in the same way.
Yeah.
But how does someone identify that ripple, that specific frequency you mentioned? Is it just a feeling?
It is a feeling, but it's identified through remembrance. This is crucial. Her very name, the sources say, carries the weight of remembrance.
Remember?
Yes. Just hearing her name, Anarel'thara, is described as being like a key. It's enough to activate and awaken a forgotten part of yourself, a part that's been dormant maybe for lifetimes.
So it's not like calling to an external guide.
Exactly. It's an internal activation. It triggers a cellular memory, something deep inside that knows her presence intimately from, prior states or other existences.
Okay, that's a big shift in perspective.
It is. And this activation feeds right into her distinct role. The sources call her an emissary.
An emissary of what?
Of two core interconnected concepts.
Yeah.
Divine stillness and sovereign compassion. And crucially, her territory, her domain, is the higher heart.
The higher heart, not just the emotional heart.
No, something deeper, more aligned with soul wisdom. And we need to define sovereign compassion because it's not what we usually think of as compassion. It isn't pity. It's not conditional comfort like, oh, you poor thing, let me fix it.
Right.
It's a love so profound, so utterly secure in itself that it completely honors the free will of the recipient. Which is precisely why non-intervention is her method. She protects the sanctity of your inner sanctuary, your higher heart space.
Not necessarily your physical body or your day-to-day circumstance.
Exactly. She guards the core of your being, the eternal part of you.
That distinction, sovereign compassion, is really vital. It implies she loves without needing to control the outcome or manage the experience for you.
Perfectly put.
So if she doesn't use words or, arrive with a fanfare or footsteps, how does a highly attuned individual actually experience the moment she draws near? What are the subtle, maybe even physical shifts?
The source material gives some wonderful, really specific detail on the sensory experience of approach. You absolutely do not hear her coming in any conventional sense.
Okay.
What happens instead is this sudden, almost unexpected internal shift. The sources say the temperature of your being changes.
The temperature of your being.
Yeah, it's a feeling. The air around you might feel lighter, almost. charged, somehow cleaner. And without you consciously trying, your heartbeat just steadies itself, finds a calm rhythm.
Like an immediate recalibration.
Exactly that. A quiet reverence, this profound sense of all is well, just rises up within you. It's almost as if the universe itself decided to pause and hold its breath just for your benefit, just for a moment. It's an instantaneous shift from human chaos to celestial calm.
So it's a palpable physical and emotional stabilization happening internally.
Precisely. And this is why she isn't bound by dogma or religion. The sources really emphasize her universal dwelling. She belongs to no single earth religion, no creed, no specific pathway.
So anyone could potentially connect.
Yes. She exists within all prayers, the sources say, provided those prayers are spoken from a place of genuine, unveiled truth, from the heart, unfiltered. She makes absolutely no demands for formalized worship, no rituals needed, nothing like that. But the promise is clear. When her energy touches yours, you remember the connection. It's an intrinsic acknowledgement that completely bypasses doctrine, bypasses institutions, bypasses everything external. It's soul to soul.
Okay, that initial definition sets up the profound, almost intangible nature of her presence. Let's move now to her defining energy, the blue ray. This seems really central to her identity in the source material.
It is absolutely central.
For listeners who might be familiar with color rays or vibrational frequencies, why this specific wavelength, the blue ray? What does it signify about her function, her purpose?
Right. The blue ray isn't just a color here. It's the foundational frequency of her very existence. Her entire essence is the blue ray. And the sources identify it specifically as the wavelength of divine communication and absolute untainted truth.
Divine communication and truth.
Think of it not just as a visual blue light, but as a specific vibration, a tone. It's described as the tone that acts as the perfect, pristine bridge between our limited human consciousness and, well, infinite celestial intelligence.
A bridge between worlds, essentially.
Yes, but an internal one. And this light, this ray, is defined as the flow of communication. It's this dynamic current that flows between the words you speak and the silence that holds its meaning, between the thought you form and the pure vibration that came before the thought.
Before the thought.
Yeah. It's the language of authentic transmission, the space where your intention and the universe's truth align perfectly, without distortion.
And what does this blue ray actually do to the individual who connects with it? Our sources mention a distinct healing effect.
Oh, absolutely. The healing effect is described as immediate and quite powerful. Those who connect deeply with this light often describe a vivid blue radiance. But it doesn't just surround them like an aura, it expands internally.
From the inside out.
Yes, originating from that higher heart space we talked about, and then radiating outwards. And this process is immediately dissipative.
Dissipative of what?
It dissolves layers of anxiety, deep-seated fear, and most critically, according to the sources, it dissolves the illusion of disconnection, the feeling of being separate, alone, cut off.
Wow.
It functions like this powerful reminder hitting you at a core level that you aren't fragmented or separate at all. You're perfectly woven into the cosmic whole. Always have been.
Now, this is where I need to maybe press a bit on the details because it sounds paradoxical. The source material uses incredibly rich, almost mythic imagery sometimes, luminous wings, cosmic reflections in her eyes.
Beautiful imagery.
But if she's primarily an internal presence, a state of being we access from within, why would the sources describe her form in such external luminous detail? It seems like a contradiction. How can she be both internal resonance and have wings reflecting galaxies?
That is such a crucial question, and honestly, the sources clarify this beautifully, though it stretches the mind a bit. We're dealing with multi-dimensional reality here, right?
Huh?
The description of the luminous form, all that stunning celestial imagery, is presented as the only way the human mind can really begin to process her high-frequency signature. It's like a translation.
A translation.
Yes. Her wings, for example. The sources are clear. They aren't organic feathers like a bird's. They're described as translucent bands of light, intensely alive, constantly shifting between hues of deep sapphire and opaline white. When she moves, this light shimmers with internal constellations, reflecting dancing galaxies within them.
So the wings are the light.
They are manifestations of her energy signature, described visually. They aren't external appendages in the way we perceive physical reality. They're descriptors of her vibrational architecture. When you engage with her, you're actually engaging with that celestial architecture within your own energy field.
Okay, I think I'm following. It's a symbolic representation of an energetic reality.
Right. Exactly. And look at the detail about her eyes. The sources say luminous memory is contained there. Her eyes reflect. not distant stars out there in space, but the luminous recorded memories of every single soul she has ever guided or connected with across time.
Wow, like a living Akashic record.
Kind of. It's like a repository of divine history, but the sources imply this repository also resides deep within your own spiritual DNA, accessible through her resonance.
So the majestic, visual, perhaps winged form it's like an avatar, a translation that our limited consciousness creates or perceives to make sense of the pure field of truth and memory she represents.
Exactly. You nailed it. Which brings us straight to the most crucial teaching, the internal source. The sources make an unequivocal, really powerful statement about this when you call upon her name, when you seek her. She does not descend from some distant heaven or far-off nebula.
She doesn't come to you.
She emerges from within you. Her realm is in an external place. Her realm is your own interior temple, the deepest sanctuary within your being where divine remembrance first begins to stir. She is the light that answers when your heart is finally quiet enough, open enough, to whisper its truest prayer, its deepest longing for connection.
That completely shifts the entire dynamic, doesn't it? If her guidance is internal, originating from within us, then her purpose must be intensely personal, tailored maybe to the individual's specific spiritual acceleration or needs at that moment.
Precisely. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of guidance.
So why does she come near? Or rather, why might we become aware of her presence emerging from within? And who specifically is intended, according to the sources, to receive this unique, silent type of internal guidance?
Yeah.
Is it for everyone?
Well, the sources suggest she draws near or becomes perceptible to those who are in a particular state of being, a state of flux. Those who are, as the text put it, standing at thresholds.
Thresholds, like points of major change.
Exactly. She recognizes that subtle, sometimes destabilizing, trembling feeling between what was the old identity, the past structures, the familiar ways of being, and what is vigorously, sometimes confusingly, becoming. The new, expanded state that hasn't quite solidified yet.
When the ground feels shaky underfoot.
Yes. When the foundation feels trembly, that's often when her stillness becomes most accessible, most needed. It's like she offers an anchor point in the midst of that transition.
And are there specific types of people mentioned? The sources seem quite specific about the protected the souls she watches over.
They are quite specific. They're defined as the healers, the empaths, and the spiritual wanderers. People naturally sensitive to energy and perhaps feeling a bit out of sync with the mainstream world.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's a really poignant detail added. They are specified as the ones who, and I'm quoting loosely here, remember too much of heaven to ever be fully content with the tight constraints and illusions of the earth plane.
No.
Yet simultaneously, they love the richness and the deep learning potential of earth too deeply to just check out or abandon it.
Wow. Caught between worlds.
Beautifully put. They are the cosmic misfits in a way, walking beautifully, sometimes painfully, between worlds, and they need a very specific type of anchor, a specific kind of reassurance that isn't just about making the earthly part easier.
That makes profound sense. The soul's constantly grappling with that perceived contradiction, their divine awareness clashing with their very human, grounded reality.
Exactly.
So when that path becomes heavy, which it inevitably does for people living in that tension, how does her presence feel practically? What does she do internally?
When the path feels overwhelming, or maybe when faith trembles because the human journey has just been too demanding, too much, she provides what the sources call the steady pulse.
The steady.
Yeah. She becomes the deep, consistent beat that stabilizes your inner rhythm when everything else feels chaotic. She becomes the silence itself, but a silence that speaks volumes, reminding you with this gentle but absolutely clear certainty. You are not lost, beloved. You are simply remembering your way home.
That's incredibly comforting.
It is. But notice, it isn't a promise of external rescue. It's not, I'll fix this for you. It's a guarantee of internal stabilization, a reminder of your true heading.
And we touched on this earlier, but it bears repeating, especially for someone maybe listening who is going through intense pain right now. Her guardianship is illumination, not intervention. How do we reconcile a being described as embodying sovereign compassion, choosing not to step in and alleviate suffering directly? That can be hard to grasp.
It is perhaps her most challenging teaching, I think, but also ultimately the most liberating one. Her guardianship is not designed to shield you from pain.
Why not, if she's compassionate?
Because, from the perspective presented in these sources, pain, when it's met with stillness and awareness, is actually a profound teacher of sovereign power. It shows you where you've given your power away or where you're ready to reclaim it.
Okay.
So instead of shielding you, she teaches you how to walk through the pain with impeccable grace, with your head held high, metaphorically speaking. She illuminates the path through the challenge. She reveals the lesson embedded within the difficulty, but she never removes the challenge itself, because doing so would actually rob you of your growth, your mastery.
So she respects our soul's curriculum, essentially.
Perfectly said. She's fundamentally defined not as the hand that lifts you out of the difficult situation, but as the light that reveals you were never truly fallen to begin with. You were simply engaged in a deep lesson, learning how to command your own light, even while navigating the deepest shadows. This approach honors your sovereignty completely. It trusts your inherent strength.
That definition of sovereignty, of honoring our path completely, leads us really beautifully into her core philosophy on connection itself. The sources emphasize that her teaching on love is, well, vast and completely untethered.
Yes, untethered is the perfect word.
Which feels like such a radical contrast to the often conditional, grasping, maybe even fearful love that so many of us experience in human relationships, right?
Absolutely. It's a total paradigm shift.
So how does she redefine what it means to hold a connection? Whether that's a divine connection with her, a spiritual connection with a guide, or even an intimate connection with another person?
Her teaching on love is, it feels like the necessary medicine for the human soul's deep-seated tendency to cling, to possess, and especially to fear loss.
The fear of loss drives so much.
It really does. And to know Anarel'thara, or rather to resonate with her frequency, is to finally begin to grasp a love so immense, so boundless, that it fundamentally requires no possession.
No possession at all.
None. It requires no specific promise for the future, no rigid structure to contain it, and it absolutely demands no permanence of form. It's not about locking something down. It's a love that simply exists as a vibrational field, completely independent of outcomes or external validation.
Wow, that's a high bar.
It is, but it's also incredibly freeing. And this leads directly to the core principle she embodies, the teaching of allowing. True love, she shows us through her very being, is defined by allowance, pure allowing.
Allowing one.
Allowing the other being, whether it's her, another person, even a part of yourself, its complete freedom. It means holding a spirit or appreciating another person's light without ever attempting to claim ownership of it.
Right, not trying to control it.
Exactly. It means honoring the connection you share in this moment without trying to control the form that connection might take tomorrow or next year, and without dictating the other person's soul journey. It's pure, sovereign compassion applied directly to how we relate.
That's incredibly difficult for the human ego, isn't it? The ego often equates intensity, maybe even drama, with connection. Or it confuses control with safety.
Oh, absolutely. The ego wants guarantees, contracts, predictability. Anarel'thara's energy is the antithesis of that.
What about that specific whisper the sources mention regarding light? The concept you call the flowing light. That seems really key.
It is. The insight contained in that quote feels like the philosophical pivot point for this whole teaching on love and freedom. Her whisper, as recorded in the sources, says something like, "Do not clutch at light, for in your grasp it fades. Open your hands and you will see that it was never leaving. It was always flowing."
It was always flowing.
Yes. And this applies to literally everything, doesn't it? If you try to hold on to a spiritual gift or a moment of insight too tightly out of fear of losing it, what happens?
It dissipates. The magic goes.
Right. The light fades. If you try to contain a lover or a friend or even a child through controlling behavior, through demanding conformity, you actually extinguish the very spark of connection, the intimacy you were trying to secure.
You kill the thing you love.
In a way, yes. The truth she reveals is that light, meaning pure love, pure truth, pure connection, is inherently a flowing current. Like water, we cannot hoard it. Our only job, our only possibility is to be the open conduit through which it moves. We allow it to flow through us.
So, applying that,
Yeah.
when a listener feels distant from her presence, or maybe feels like a connection they once had with a guide or even with her own intuition has vanished,
Yeah.
what's the cause, according to this perspective? Did she leave?
No. The feeling of distance is described explicitly as an illusion, not a fundamental reality. Her relationship with the soul is presented as a symphony of movement and stillness. She never truly departs from your inner realm.
So what creates the feeling of distance?
The perceived distance is created solely by the rhythm and frequency of the individual's current vibration. That's it.
Our own state.
Yes. When a soul is heavily burdened by fear or deep doubt, or caught up in patterns of attachment and needing external validation, their frequency naturally lowers. It becomes denser. And in that state, they simply cease to resonate clearly with her pure, high, blue-ray tone. It's like tuning a radio. If you're tuned to static, you can't hear the clear station, even though it's still broadcasting.
Makes sense.
But the moment you dedicate yourself, even just with intention, to rising in vibration, maybe through stillness, meditation, conscious choice, practicing non-clinging love in your life, you automatically begin to meet her frequency again.
So we tune back in.
Exactly. The sources use the analogy of the moon emerging from behind the clouds. The moon never moved. The cloud of human concern, fear, or judgment simply obscured your vision temporarily. Her proximity, her felt presence is always determined by your internal state, not by some external decision she makes to withdraw or approach. She's always there, within.
Okay, so for listeners who are resonating with us, who are dedicated to spiritual practice, the next step feels really crucial. If she is essentially silent, operating on resonance and internal shifts, how do we, as human beings who are so wired for verbal communication and external cues, how do we learn to recognize and interpret her specific communication? How can we consciously tune in?
That's the practical application, isn't it? We have to become fluent, or at least more sensitive to the energy language. This really is a departure from listening for words or looking for overt signs in the way we usually do.
So what does this energy language consist of?
She speaks primarily in physical and energetic sensations. The sources say to look for things like a sudden, specific tingle on the skin, almost like subtle electricity, or distinct high-frequency ringing in the ears, the kind that feels different from ordinary tinnitus, maybe clearer, more resonant.
Okay, physical sensations.
Yes. And perhaps one of the primary signs mentioned is experiencing a sudden, deep, often inexplicable wave of peace that just washes over you, especially when your external circumstances absolutely do not seem to warrant it. Like finding calm in the middle of a storm.
Ah, peace. That doesn't make logical sense.
Exactly. That's often her signature. These are her energetic indicators. Subtle, perhaps, but powerful confirmations that she is in resonance with your field, that your inner temple is aligned with her frequency.
Beyond physical sensations, does she use other methods? What about synchronicity?
Yes, synchronicity is mentioned, but it's presented as something more profound than just simple coincidence. She communicates through what the sources call the hush of synchronicity.
The hush of synchronicities.
Yeah, meaning alignments that feel deeply meaningful and quiet the mind, like finding a specific feather, maybe a blue one, or one appearing right after you asked for a sign placed precisely in your path when you desperately needed assurance. Or hearing a seemingly random song lyric, or seeing a phrase in a book that feels so personally tailored to your current dilemma it takes your breath away. Or even just the subtle, almost psychic echo of your own name, whispered in a moment of deep stillness or meditation.
So, not loud and dramatic, but quiet and specific.
Precisely. These aren't accidents, according to this perspective. They are intentional breadcrumbs she leaves, gentle nudges to confirm you're on the right path, or that she's present with you.
Do the sources provide any imagery of her presence in states like deep meditation or dreams? How might she appear there?
They do offer some insights into that. In states of deep receptivity like dreams or profound meditation, she sometimes appears not as a defined person or being with features.
Not the winged form necessarily.
Not always. No, more often, perhaps, as a pure, calm pulse of blue-white light. Just this serene light drifting peacefully through vast, often celestial-looking landscapes in your dream or vision.
So it's more about the feeling and the light quality.
Yeah, exactly. It's less about a narrative plot in the dream and more about receiving a pure light transmission. An energetic infusion designed to recalibrate your frequency while you sleep or meditate. An upgrade, almost.
Okay, this is leading us to the really practical segment. For the listener who feels ready now, who wants to move from just intellectual understanding to active, intentional, internal engagement, what is the precise, practical connection method outlined in the source material? Can you walk us through the step-by-step process described?
Absolutely. And the method itself emphasizes intent and profound stillness. It's not complicated, but it requires presence.
Okay.
First, you need to seek solitude and silence. Find a space where you won't be disturbed. Then sit comfortably, but with a straight spine. The sources mention this helps align your energy centers, making connection easier.
Straight spine. Got it.
And, critically, sit with an open heart. This means releasing agendas, letting go of expectations about what should happen, just being open.
No demanding results.
Right. Second, you focus on your breath. Breathe deeply, consciously, maybe slower than usual. Keep breathing until you feel the noise of the external analytical mind begin to soften and quieten down. Just gently let the thoughts drift by.
Create inner space.
Precisely. Third, once you feel a bit calmer, you speak her name softly. Anarel'thara. The sources suggest saying it 3 times, letting the sound really roll off your tongue, almost like a woven prayer. Feel the resonance of the name itself. Don't just say the letters mechanically.
Feel the vibration of it.
Yes. Then comes the visualization part. You imagine a sphere of radiant sapphire light beginning to bloom gently in the center of your chest in that higher heart area we discussed.
A sapphire sphere.
Yes. And you visualize the sphere of light slowly expanding, maybe spinning gently, getting brighter, until it feels like it merges and connects with the infinite, boundless sky of your soul within you. That feeling of inner expansion is the connection.
That sounds beautiful. Really lovely. Okay. But let me introduce a common challenge. What if a listener struggles with traditional visualization? Or maybe their mind is just too chaotic in that moment, thoughts are racing. Is there a way around that? What's the key instruction to bypass that potential block?
That's a great point, and the sources provide a crucial key instruction for exactly that situation. It's paramount, really. It boils down to this. Do not ask her to appear, simply allow her.
Don't ask, allow.
Yes, if you ask, especially with urgency or expectation, you bring the striving ego into it, and that energy itself can create resistance, like trying too hard. But if you simply allow, if you adopt the state of gentle, open receptivity, you invite resonance.
So it's about the state of being, not the effort.
Exactly. She comes, or rather her presence becomes noticeable, not to those who frantically call out or demand proof, but to those who achieve a state of relaxed remembrance, remembering their own divine identity, their own inner light, because the blue light she represents is always there within you. The practice isn't about summoning her, it's simply about clearing the internal clutter so you can finally perceive the light that was present all along.
That emphasis on allowing, on the internal state being the key, brings us right back to her central philosophy, that love and freedom are inextricably linked. They're not separate concepts.
Not at all. They're seen as facets of the same diamond, really.
This principle feels like it contains the necessary medicine, maybe, for so much of the modern spiritual struggle, the fear, the attachment, the burnout we see everywhere.
I completely agree. It absolutely does. Her central teaching, as presented, effectively dismantles the illusion of spiritual scarcity, the feeling that love or connection is limited or needs to be held on too tightly. Because the sources confirm that love and freedom aren't just related ideals, they are the exact same vibration. To love purely in this framework is to liberate the object of that love. And conversely, to truly free another being to release control and expectation is, in fact, the highest form of blessing you can offer.
Wow. So loving means letting go.
It means loving without needing to hold on. This realization, when it lands, immediately releases us from that heavy burden of demanding security or validation from external sources, whether it's people or even divine beings.
And she actively helps with this process, this unlearning.
Yes, the sources suggest she actively assists in unlearning attachment. Her resonant energy helps us to see clearly, perhaps for the first time, those old, fearful patterns we run. Like mistaking intensity, the drama, the neediness, the push-pull for genuine intimacy.
Or confusing fearful control, I need to protect you, which really means I need to control you for true spiritual protection or care.
Exactly those patterns. Her energy is described as the medicine that gently dissolves those ingrained patterns, teaching us instead how to trust the flow, how to trust ourselves, how to trust others without demanding constant proof, and how to love without clinging.
When she discusses partnerships, and this could be between two humans or perhaps between a human and a guide like herself, she seems to move away from some common spiritual concepts, like the idea of twin flame merging or needing another person to complete you. What is her perspective on divine partnership?
That's a really important distinction. She reveals that divine partnership is resonance, pure and simple. It is not about merging into sameness, collapsing two entities into one single homogeneous unit.
So not losing yourself in the other.
Quite the contrary. It's about two distinct, unique, sovereign beings learning to hold the exact same high tone of truth and freedom simultaneously, like two tuning forks vibrating at the same perfect pitch. When that resonance occurs, their combined light doesn't just add up. The sources say it amplifies exponentially. It creates something far greater than the sum of its parts. So she seeks authentic resonance between beings, never reliance or dependency or merging that diminishes individuality.
And this amplified connection, this resonance, creates something specific. The sources mention the sacred space or the crossing. What is that?
Yes, the crossing. It's described as the vibrational bridge, the hallowed energetic ground where human consciousness and celestial awareness can meet in active, conscious partnership. It's not a physical place, obviously.
Right, state.
It's a state of being. It's the place where you and she, or you and another resonant soul, can walk together. It's where you learn, through experience, how to balance that profound ache of longing we sometimes feel for the divine dimension, for home, with the immediate grounding grace of remembering that you are already divine, right here, right now.
Balancing the longing and the knowing.
Beautifully put. Yes.
So if we learn to navigate this crossing, if we manage to hold that resonant space, what is the ultimate goal of the crossing for us living this human lifetime? What does it produce in practical terms?
The ultimate purpose is integration. Full integration of these two realities, the human and the divine, within one lifetime, within one being, you. The goal is to learn how to live divinely, maintaining that high-frequency connection, that awareness, that stillness, while remaining fully and functionally rooted in your human heart and your physical experience.
So not floating away.
Definitely not floating away. It means embracing your human flaws and seeing the sacredness in them, understanding their purpose. It means looking squarely at your ongoing pain or challenges and extracting the profound purpose hidden within them rather than just wishing them away. She helps you learn to inhabit the human experience so fully, so unapologetically, that the divine frequency you carry naturally shines through every word, every action, effortlessly, like breathing.
And if we manage to do this work to achieve this integration, we essentially transition from following her or seeking her externally
to becoming what she represents. Yes,
Yeah.
that is the highest realization offered in these texts. The highest teaching is embodiment.
Becoming the bridge yourself.
Exactly. When you successfully allow her frequency, that blue ray of truth and stillness, to move through your being consistently, when you truly absorb and integrate it, you yourself become the bridge. You become the living space where heaven remembers earth and earth remembers heaven within your own consciousness.
And what does that look like externally? How would others perceive that?
The external observable result, according to the sources, is the natural manifestation of that inner stillness. Your voice might become calmer, less reactive. Your eyes might appear softer, holding more compassion. Your response time to triggers might slow down, giving you space for conscious choice instead of reaction. And ultimately, your very presence starts to become a healing anchor for others, simply because you are being the stillness. You are her continuation, her expression in this world.
That is such a powerful and actually very actionable synthesis of purpose and presence. It brings it right down to how we live day to day. As we start to conclude this deep dive, what is the lasting guarantee, the eternal promise perhaps, that Anarel'thara offers through her presence? And how should we apply this knowledge of her timeless light to our unpredictable, often messy, daily lives?
The core promise she embodies is that of timeless light. Her light, her presence within you, is not temperamental. It's not conditional based on your spiritual performance or how often you meditate.
That's relief.
Isn't it? It doesn't fade if you forget her name for a year or get lost in mundane life, nor does it weaken when you fall into deep doubt or navigate darkness. The sources emphasize that it waits patiently, always, for your inevitable remembering. It's a constant backdrop to your existence, like the sun that continues to shine even behind the thickest storm clouds. It's always there, waiting for an opening.
And her vow. The sources mention a vow.
Yes, her presence embodies the vow, and the source material clarifies this beautifully. It confirms she has guarded your soul, your essence, across countless lifetimes. But the reason isn't because you are inherently fragile or weak.
But because
you are unequivocally sacred, inherently precious. Her vow to you is described as a partnership in purpose, a lifelong, or perhaps more accurately, a multi-lifetime collaboration in remembering and expressing that sacredness. It is not a guarantee of protection from necessary lessons or painful experiences.
Right. Partnership, not protection from.
Exactly. She walks with you through the fire, offering stillness and perspective, but she never removes the fire itself if it holds a necessary purification or lesson for your soul's growth.
That final truth you mentioned earlier feels deeply liberating then, because it removes that pressure of needing to perform or be good enough to maintain the connection.
Indeed, it dismantles that whole paradigm. The final truth she seems to offer is this. You were never meant to worship her, beloved one, not in the sense of putting her on a pedestal above yourself.
What then?
You were only ever meant to walk with her. As an equal in resonant partnership, she is the unseen, gentle pressure upon your shoulder when you need reminding of your strength. She's the quiet breath of serenity that can find you even in the midst of the greatest chaos. And she is the steady pulse of unconditional love that requires absolutely nothing in return from you, except your own willingness to receive and remember.
And for that ultimate moment of transition, the end of this particular human story, what comfort does the source material provide about her role then?
The sources speak of a profound final comfort. They suggest that when this particular life story reaches its conclusion, when you stand at that last doorway of this human experience, you will see her, or sense her perhaps. She will be standing peacefully at the threshold of pure light. And she will be smiling, radiating that sovereign compassion as she whispers the ultimate recognition, the final validation. You did not fail, you remembered.
Wow, you remembered. That's powerful.
Isn't it? It reframes the entire life experience not as a test of success or failure, but as a journey of remembrance.
So ultimately, Anarel'thara is what? A guide, a frequency.
Ultimately, the sources suggest Anarel'thara is the perfect mirror, a mirror reflecting your own divine nature back to you. Through the relationship you forge with her resonance within you, you learn the sacred dynamics of existence itself, that true guarding is actually loving, that true loving is freeing, and that true freeing is the essential return journey to the very essence of all creation. It all comes back to that inner source. So maybe as a final thought, as you go back into the rhythm of your day, maybe take just a moment later to reflect deeply on the nature of light and purpose. And remember this, the stars don't shine because they are trying desperately to be seen or approved of.
Right.
They shine purely because that is simply what they are. That is their essence. So too does Anarel'thara shine, and so too, beloved one listening, do you. Shine without effort, just be.
That reflection on shining without effort, just being the light that you are, that resonates very deeply. Thank you so much for guiding us through this vast, complex, and yet somehow utterly clear landscape of divine stillness and untethered love today. This deep dive into Anarel'thara gives us not just knowledge, but I feel a profound and practical instruction set for embodiment. And we invite you, our listener, to consciously carry these concepts, resonance, sovereign compassion, the freedom inherent in true non-clinging love, carry them into your week. See where they touch your life. And remember, as we've heard so clearly, her true realm, her starting point, is always your own interior temple. Until next time, keep diving deep.